Hello, nerds. We are gathered here today to talk about the news, and specifically the nerdy news. And this is going to be a really rough episode. Most of what we have to talk about is either in music or the rumor mill, so kind of lopsided. We have, honestly, quite a bit to talk about in music. We have very little to talk about in TV. No no gaming news, really, and no movie news, really. But we do have comic books. We do have a giant rumor mill, because that's kind of what we're going on right now. All of that and more, so let's hit the intro. Okay, no real housekeeping, just well wishes and all that jazz. You know, coronavirus is going crazy, but not quite as crazy as the people around you. So stay calm, stay safe. Let's hit the news, and we're starting with music. And like I said, music is our largest proper news section for this episode. First off, we have the official release of that Childish Gambino record that we talked about a couple episodes ago. The name, I guess you could call it, is 3/15/20, which is the date from when it was kind of sort of leaked, or whatever the heck happened for those 12 hours where it was streaming on a website. Now it is officially being released, and it's may or may not be the quote-unquote final Childish Gambino record. Donald Glover has not made any real announcements about it still, so we still only... and actually, the track titles are just numbers as well, so it's a really enigmatic kind of release, which is kind of awesome. I dig it. I'm not even gonna lie. Donald Glover, I think, is a little bit of a genius in a lot of ways, and this is kind of one of them, because the more enigmatic you are, the more people want more of what you're trying to sell. So I feel like this was brilliant on his part. I still have yet to listen to the record, but I will very, very soon. We'll talk about it. We're going to move on, though. Next, we're talking about the death of Kenny Rogers. He was 81 years old, and according to the official press release, he passed because of natural causes, which isn't really a thing anymore. So it kind of makes you wonder if they're trying to hide something or protect him somehow by saying natural causes. I don't know. We're not going to speculate about it, though, because, you know, respect the dead and whatnot. Kenny Rogers was a pretty massive contributor to the music community at large, though kind of by more focused over on the country side of things. Still an influence and still a great tragedy. Kenny Rogers, you will be missed. Next, we are moving over to some Corona-related material. We have an update. We have a piece about Metallica. Metallica is doing what they're calling Metallica Mondays. For the foreseeable future, they're going to be live streaming on their YouTube channel and their Facebook a full, proper, production-sized concert. There's not going to be a crowd physically there. It's just going to be the stream audience, which is kind of really awesome, that they're putting this much work into something that really is not going to make them nearly as much money as if they were there in person. It sounds like every Monday is going to be a broadcast from a different location, because they did have to cancel a lot of tour dates. Perhaps this is going to be somehow related to the tour that they had to cancel. So either way, check out their YouTube channel every freaking Monday. It was 8 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. I could very well be wrong, but it's somewhere in that general vicinity. If you are, somewhere overseas, Eastern time, stateside, would be New York time, or it was either Eastern or Pacific, and Pacific time would be California time. So that's kind of your frame of reference. They have all of that information on their YouTube channel, or their Facebook even, so you can go to either of those and check that out and verify the times for yourself. Next, we are continuing in music because, like I said, music is our biggest section for proper news. Next is Converge that we're talking about. Converge is seriously one of my favorite aggressive, loud metal bands. Well, loud, I don't know if metal is... Yeah, sure. Okay, whatever. So, Converge just put out a 30-minute version of the first track off of their last record, the last record being All We Love, We Leave Behind. The name of the original track is Aimless Arrow. This is it's a 30-minute version of that song, and it is apparently more ambient and atmospheric, I believe were the terms used to describe it. A more ambient, atmospheric version of it, and they've changed the title now to Endless Arrow. It is up on their Bandcamp. You can do a pay what you want to download it. And 30 minutes of a single track from Converge, I'm super interested. Again, have not had the time because my day job does still count. I am apparently part of the elite few that still get to work during the coronavirus. So I do still have to go to my day job. But that being said, I do fully intend on, I don't know if we'll do a reaction video to the full 30-minute track, but we'll do a highlights reel for the 30-minute track. So yeah, I am super excited to listen to this. I hope you are too, just because generally atmospheric and those kind of descriptors are not exactly the words you associate with Converge. So I'm super excited to see what they have to offer in that vein. And then our final piece is one that actually is going to sound familiar probably for a lot of people, but you're not going to really know why because it's been so long since we heard anything about this. So, what am I talking about? Eat the Day. You remember that band name? Well, you kind of should. If you're familiar and or a fan of Wes Borland and the things that Wes Borland does, maybe not necessarily Limp Bizkit, he does have other projects out there. If you are familiar with anything that he has done, and then you know that he did quit the band, his primary source of income, Limp Bizkit, for a good number of years in order to pursue, first day with the new lips. In order to pursue these other musical endeavors, he quit Limp Bizkit, and, because he felt like he was selling out, but that's a whole different discussion. So one of the things, actually the first thing that he was trying to put into motion when he left Limp Bizkit back in 2001, sorry. It was 2008, I believe, is when he went back to the band. My timeline's a little screwed up, but it was 2001 that he left. So, that being said, the first thing that he was trying to put out was a project called Eat the Day. I remember chomping at the bit, trying to get every little bit of news that I could about the project, and it never was released. It never saw the light of day. Largely, let's put it that way, largely because he could not find a vocalist that he deemed appropriate for the project. He did have a couple that he auditioned. Cedric from the Mars Volta was one of them, but apparently that didn't pan out for whatever reason. The details are kind of vague and few and far between, so no real understanding of exactly what he was looking for in a vocalist or what he got from the vocalists that auditioned. That being said, we are now going to be receiving the demo tracks, effectively. It's, I believe he's calling it even the demo album for Eat the Day. So presumably this is going to be an all-instrumental outing that he really worked on almost 2 decades ago. I again, super interested. Wes Borland is one of the 2 main reasons why I loved Limp Bizkit, Sam Rivers being the other one. And I am so interested to hear, because I do love all of his other projects. Big Dumb Face is awesome and hilarious, and Blacklight Burns is perfect, like if you're into a kind of industrial light, almost goth pop industrial light kind of thing. The best way I've heard it described as is Trent Reznor light, which is fairly appropriate. If you if you're into that sound, then Black Light Burns is definitely a thing to check out. I have no idea what to expect from Eat the Day. If it's going to be a little bit more nu metal, like we got from his work in Limp Bizkit, if it's going to be something a little more industrial tinged, like we got, honestly, in a little bit in the Big Dumb Face, and also, like I just said, in Black Light Burns. Any of these projects, or even if there's going to be some sort of screamo element, because he did work with From First to Last. So what to expect, I have no idea. It is supposed to be released later this week, a specific day. As of filming this, or as of doing the research last night rather, was not announced, but it's sometime this week, so we will very likely be talking about this on Friday. That being said, that is all we have for music. Now, let's talk TV streaming. TV streaming is small because everything is on hold, mostly. So our first piece has to do with Star Trek Discovery. With the coronavirus being the issue of the day, or the month, or the year, probably, everything, like I said, is being put on hold, is being pushed back. Stuff is happening. So Star Trek Discovery Season 3, they have already done all of the principal photography. They're, as assuming there are no reshoots, everything is moving into post. And we did get an update from actor Wilson Cruz, who is in the show. He's, I don't want to give too much away. If you haven't seen Star Trek Discovery and you want to binge it while you are, this is a great show to binge while we are on quarantine, lockdown, whatever you want to call it. So he took to Twitter to say that Season 3 is definitely still being worked on, though because the production staff is working from home, that could throw a wrench into things and it will potentially be delayed as far as release goes. But it is still coming, and that's the biggest thing. Keep your eye on the prize, man. It is still going to happen. We will still be seeing it. It just might be pushed back a little bit. So that's what we've got there. Next, we're talking about The Mandalorian, and we actually, there's a couple of things. We already talked about Ahsoka Tano being cast, Rosario Dawson. Super awesome. We are super excited for that. Now we're talking about directors, and we have the announcement that Robert Rodriguez, the guy who gave us, oh man, so many great things. Dusk Till Dawn. He did the Grindhouse movies with Quentin Tarantino. He's Quentin Tarantino's homie. Like, they're boys. So Robert Rodriguez, I mean, he also did those weird Spy Kids movies, but they're not all winners. They can't all be winners. He will be directing an episode in Season 2. Not sure which episode just yet, or we know actually very, very little about the story from Season 2. So as we get those updates, we will definitely be talking about them here. That's all we have for TV streaming. And we have no real movie updates. I mean, there are more things getting released to video on demand. I mean, I believe almost everything, unless it's a Disney-owned property, will be available on Amazon Prime or Hulu in some respect. So just check your streaming options and you can see what is coming out. Amazon Prime, I know, very specifically has put a new section in the app, or however you access your Amazon Prime. There is a whole new section for these video on demand direct releases. So far, they have all been $20. I honestly just watched The Hunt the other day, and if you're looking for a lot of gore, then yeah, go for it. It's really not as upsetting politically as everyone wanted to believe it was, because we all just feel the need to be so offended all the time about everything. It's kind of dumb writing, but it's great gore. So if you're looking for a great gory horror movie, there you go. There's a new one for you. $20. Get a couple of friends in on the project. Practice your social distancing together. I mean, groups of less than 10, right? Anyway, so really, there's not a whole lot to talk about news-wise. I am very likely going to be creating a list of great movies that you probably have missed to stream while on quarantine. That's very roughly in the works. It may or may not see the light of day. Stay tuned. We'll talk about it if it does. Again, that being said, next we're moving to gaming. Well, we would be moving to gaming if there was anything to talk about in gaming. And really the biggest thing in gaming right now is GameStop finally agreed that they're not an essential store, because yeah, that was a thing. They production, the CEO and all of the upper ups in the structure of GameStop said, well, we're an essential business, so we have to stay open. No, video games are not essential, especially considering most people actually download them anymore. So that being said, they were like, okay, you win. We're not essential. We'll close all of the stores tonight, which is kind of a dick move, not gonna lie. You don't say one thing for weeks and weeks and weeks and then change your mind on a dime and expect your employees to just deal with it. People still have bills. But again, aside from that, no news in gaming, so we're moving over to comic books. Comic books, we have a couple of things to talk about. First is the inevitable piece of news that we kind of should have if we didn't already see it coming. And that is that Diamond will be stopping the distribution and shipping of comic books for however long everyone is on quarantine. There will still be new comic books coming out. There will still be the option to go digital. So if you don't have a Comixology account, then now is a great time to do that. If you don't have a DC Universe account, then now would probably be a great time to do that so you can catch up. DC Universe is a little less reliable as far as new books go. The Marvel Now app also is a great thing to do. You can do everything up until 6 months ago. So again, catch up on your comic books digitally because you're not going to be able to get them physically for a little while. That is what we've got there. Next, we're talking about a new comic book that was just announced. From Dark Horse Comics, we are getting a new God of War book. It's going to be titled God of War Fallen God, and it's going to take place between the two eras of the franchise. So between the Greek and the Norse mythology, we are going to be seeing how the two eras are linked and exactly what happened to Kratos and why he went to the Norse mythology and all that jazz. It's good. I'm super excited for it. I really love the story of God of War. The writer is going to be Chris Robertson, who has spent time on iZombie and other God of War books. Drawn by Tony Parker, who also has worked God of War before and This Damned Band. Coloring by Dan Jackson, who's done work on The Strain, which is also a great book. Go check that out. The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, and lettering by John Rochelle, who has worked on the Overwatch anthology as well as Astro City. Again, really interested to see the story, how these two stories link, all of that. We've got plenty of time on our hands. Try not to spend all of your money, but either way, it's going to be some good reading while we're stuck in a hole. So that finally brings us to the meat and potatoes of this episode, and actually all of the episodes moving forward probably until people get off of lockdown, and that is the rumor mill. And rumor mill, it's starting to go a little crazy. Not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting it to be this big this early, but because we don't have news to talk about, we can start projecting rumors, right? So first up is kind of a big one, and it has to do with, again, the rumor that just won't die. And it's starting to look like I might have to eat a little crow, because the Snyder Cut, more people are now talking about the fact that it does actually exist. Not only does it actually exist, but the rumor, there's a lot of rumors tied into this, so we're just going to go through it chronologically, kind of. So not only does the Snyder Cut actually exist for the Justice League movie, but apparently, up until about 2 weeks ago, the plan was to release the Snyder Cut as a launch title for the HBO Max streaming service. And so, because Zack Snyder had all of the time in the world and all of the resources, apparently, to make this happen, it was going, because the HBO Max app launches in May, he was going to have all that work done by May. Now, that's not likely to happen. So according to the rumors, he is still working on getting it completed, though if you believe the pictures that he himself is releasing on like his Instagram and Twitter and stuff, the one hopefully you're looking at if you're watching the video right now, you should be seeing it above my shoulder, hopefully. So all of that is still in motion, but is very much being delayed because he has to do some reshoots. He has to do pickup shots. He has to do a lot more VFX on his content because there is 80 more minutes apparently of content from what we got in theaters, from what Joss Whedon gave us. So, continuing down the rumor rabbit hole with this one, instead of it being the Snyder Cut that is going to be a launch title for HBO Max, now the rumor says it's going to be Wonder Woman 1984. And this one is even more convoluted than the Snyder Cut, which is saying something, because apparently, and all of this is rumor, there has been no official announcement aside from the fact that Warner Brothers did say, no, this isn't happening. But the rumors are persisting and are coming from more and more sources that the reason they made that announcement is because the producers on the project and the people directly involved with the project want a theatrical release. So they want to wait until they can release it in theaters before it gets released. However, the upper-ups at Warner Brothers, the DC side of Warner Brothers, all the way up to the CEOs, presumably, again, according to the rumor, want it as a launch title for HBO Max because the competition is so fierce right now, especially right now with Netflix, Amazon, and Apple Plus, and Disney. Not even to forget Disney. The competition is so ridiculous. What better way than to have one of your top tier tentpole blockbuster titles go directly to your exclusive app? So again, this, as things kind of iron out and happen, we will talk about them. That is all we have for that, though. So next, we are talking about a video game rumor, and it's actually not Batman related. This one has to do with Spider-Man. So the sequel to Spider-Man PlayStation 4 is Spider-Man PlayStation 5, right? It kind of assumed that it was being worked on. There have been some apparent leaks on the project, though, so we're going to talk about those real quick. There didn't look like there was a whole lot of spoiler stuff, but I'm just going to do a mild spoiler warning because people get really sensitive about that kind of stuff. It really doesn't feel like spoilers to me, so that's a super mild, but not even really spoiler warning. All right, so we have, according to the leaks, which, again, I'm just going to consider rumors at this point because Lord only knows, but according to the leaks, we have Venom factoring into the story pretty heavily. Seems Venom symbiote as well as Eddie Brock and Harry Osborn wearing this symbiote. So Oscorp also factoring very heavily into the storyline of the game. Potentially Oscorp is the big bad for the game. And the symbiotes are going to tie into the plot line pretty heavily. That being said, also, apparently, we're going to be seeing Carnage in the game. So, also pretty freaking awesome. I don't know, it sounded like Carnage was less of a factor than Venom, which chronologically kind of makes sense. Assuming they want to continue making these games, we will continue to see a further development of certain elements like the symbiotes. Also, Mysterio is reportedly going to be in the game, so we'll see some sort of magic action from Mysterio. We also are going to potentially be getting the ability to play as other Spider-Folk. So Miles was the one specifically name-dropped in the leak, though it does stand to reason that we will potentially get to play as Eddie Brock, as Venom. Also wouldn't be out of the question to play as Spider-Woman, so on and so forth, because they did liken it to the Arkham games. So we're still talking about Batman. But the Arkham games, how we get to play from certain characters in the Bat family. For one of the games, it was DLC. For one of the other games, it was specific sections of the game. You were a different member of the Bat family. They did kind of make the comparison there that this is going to be similar to that. So, being as the only one that was properly name dropped was Miles, it still kind of stands to reason that we're going to be seeing potentially even Crimson Spider, I would imagine. So it's not just going to be different skins that you get to play on Peter Parker, but the actual character, presumably, as well. The final piece is the potential release date. According to the leak, the likely release date is going to be September 21st. The official announcement, again, according to the leak, is going to happen later in the summer. So it sounds like towards the end of the summer. Maybe they were anticipating an E3 announcement, but being as E3 has been rather unceremoniously moved because of corona concerns, potentially even canceled, we might not get that announcement at E3. Very potentially will just be Sony making the announcement at the end of the summer. So that is all we have there. Next, we're moving back into the realm of Star Wars and more Ahsoka Tano. This time, rumors, obviously, because that's where we are. Rumors are surrounding the character of Ahsoka Tano now that Rosario Dawson has signed a contract to play the character. Rumors are going wild that the contract actually includes a limited series for Disney Plus. So Ahsoka Tano, according to this rumor, is going to get her very own series, which could be kind of awesome. Any more that we can get of these great characters, the better, as long as it's a justifiable story and not just something to further a silly narrative. That's all we've got on that one. Continuing on the Disney Plus and Marvel side of things, we're talking about Ironheart. There is also a rumor that Ironheart is going to be getting her very own Disney Plus series. And not just that, but the rumor goes on to say, and actually the more substantiated in that it's been from multiple sources side of this, is that Robert Downey Jr. will be coming back to voice the AI in Ironheart. It seems a little silly if you think about, story-wise, but as far as like what Marvel wants to do, what Disney wants to do, kind of makes sense. So that's what we've got there. Now we're talking one more time about the Flashpoint movie. Rumors have it that James McAvoy has been signed to play Captain Cold, aka Leonard Snart. Considering I only got this from one not as reputable source, take this one. Actually, the last three rumors all are from not as reputable sources, so take them all with a very giant grain of salt. But James McAvoy in the DC universe is really interesting. And not only that, but James McAvoy as a villain sounds pretty awesome, I'm not going to lie. That's all we've got on that one, though. Like I said, these were really quick and super unsubstantiated as they only come from one source. Batman Beyond, we have another potential casting rumor. This one is, admittedly, even in the source, they're theoretically looking at more than just this actor for this role, but the live-action Batman Beyond, which is probably in pre-production right now. It's really tough to say because they haven't made an official announcement, but there are so many there's so much buzz about the project that it kind of would make sense that it is. But anyway, so assuming that it is, they are potentially looking at Ty Sheridan to play Terry McGinnis. So another Marvel actor coming over to the DC side of things. And then our final piece of rumor news. This one sounds interesting and sounds like it makes it sound like DC has their stuff together a little more than I think they actually do. But according to this rumor, in the Aquaman side of the DC universe, the DC extended universe, I guess, Aquaman is putting into play after the third movie that Jason Momoa plays as Aquaman. putting into motion the potential to pass the title of Aquaman off to someone else. So Momoa will always be Arthur Curry. Momoa will always be the King of Atlantis in the DC Extended Universe until they write him out somehow. But this is not replacing Momoa. This is just passing on the mantle of Aquaman. The rumor is that they're going to introduce at some point their version of Calder. I'm assuming I'm saying that name right. Whenever I read it, that's how it sounds in my head. So the DC Extended Universe version of Calder will be the one that they're putting in place to take over the mantle of Aquaman after the third Aquaman movie. Again, according to the rumor. But that is just rumor, and that's all of the rumors I got. So that's the end of the rumor mill. And the episode. What did I miss, guys? What should we talk about in the next one? Let me know in the comments down below. If, though, you want to go deeper into the conversation, then jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. You can see all of the other things that are going on the channel, and all the social medias and everything is linked from there. Or you can go straight to the Patreon if you want to help support the channel. Patreon.com/generallynerdy is the place to do that. And you get more content, including the entire backlog of the audio version of the podcast. So if you want to catch up, then you can do that in your car on your own time, as long as you're a Patreon. So just $1 a month gets you the entire back catalog. Go check that out. Thank you guys again very, very much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click the like button if you like what's going on here. There is, the thumbs down if that's the way you're inclined. Let's have the conversation about all of the things down in the comments. And before we go, guys, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.